finally here.
If you stumbled across this video, I'm certain we have a few things in common. One of them being, you like finding an obscure item, which, after examining, you find out you can combine it with something you've had on you for ages. Once combined, you realize you can use this to get into that room you've been running past for an hour. It may look like a key, or a gem, or a stone, or even a crest. In that room, though, is, of course, a little bit of ammo and a file that vaguely mentions a code. It doesn't mention the code outright, but you can get it figured out. After a quick puzzle, you gotta open a safe, and in that safe, an upgrade, or even better yet, another key item. Survival horror, the thing we all know and love. It just clicks. Something about the formula works, and it's beyond rewarding. That topic, though, has already been picked apart thoroughly on YouTube. Today, I want to touch on something a bit different. The in-between of it all. The place you visit while backtracking. And where you go after getting that untimely visit from the words, "You are dead." Save rooms. That's what we're talking about today, save rooms. They're one of the backbones of classic Resident Evil. Even showing up in the newer titles. One of the first times I ever felt as high as the 15-year-olds from Euphoria was playing Resident Evil 4. This is an iconic game and needs no introduction. But it was a different part of the game than you might expect. The save theme. I was 9 years old and literally terrified of anything. Strangely though, when I saved my progress, that began to wind down. I began to let all my worries wash away, while the typewriter whispered, "It's all gonna be okay." This seems far-fetched, but anyone who's actually heard the save theme from Resident Evil 4 may know what I'm talking about. It just washes over you. As a kid, Resident Evil 4 was my first experience with the series. Some may not agree, but God, this was a great jumping point. Tiptoeing around the village, swimming through that lake, and trudging around every corner of the castle. And of course, that random island that shows up at the end. Anyway, that's a topic for another time, and I really do want to cover another time. Just so I can let you know that 9-year-old Isaiah loved Ashley, and she's not that annoying. You guys are just either silly or bad at the game. There's one particular moment that I can remember about my first playthrough of Resident Evil 4. I was at my cousin's. He had already played through Resident Evil 4, being 5 or 6 years older than me. Weeks before, he let me start my own save file on his PS2. When he wasn't playing, I got to play. I also want to hammer home, as a kid I was extremely anxious, terrified of any and everything. Real life, fiction, whatever. I never could watch scary movies, and all I had at home was a Nintendo, so definitely wasn't used to anything Resident Evil had to offer. Of course, this means my older cousin got a kick out of showing me any and everything. I can remember being locked in the room to watch Chucky or Jeepers Creepers when I thought we were watching some other movie. It wasn't all bad though, because along came Resident Evil 4, which at the time, to us, was definitely the scariest video game we've gotten our hands on. As a kid, I was mortified seeing the Chainsaw Man cut my head off for the first time, and probably shouldn't have been playing it. But that's not the memory we're talking about today. So it's the middle of the night. I had steadily been making my way through the game. My cousin's in bed watching me, and I'm in the chair right in front of the TV. I come out to an open area. Villagers rush out and are opening huge doors. El Gigante, he's there, and he's coming towards me. The cutscene's still playing, and I am mortified. This happened often with bosses when I was a kid, but this one was pretty terrible. I vaguely remember the fight went on for a little bit, but I died pretty quickly. And there it is, the spooky "You are dead" screen. At this point, it's late, I'm very scared, tired, and most importantly, obsessed with this video game. So of course, I keep playing, click continue, and look to my cousin. He's out cold, asleep. I'm 9 years old, and I'm abandoned in front of this TV. To keep playing is just not an option. I know I should go to bed, but of course, this doesn't feel like an option. I'm at my auntie's, terrified. The house is creepy. Imagine old clocks, even older furniture. So what did I do? I laid down, settled into my makeshift bed, with the typewriter save screen open. There was no plans to turn the TV off. The music hummed at a low to medium volume, and after a while I drifted off to sleep. Just a few minutes after being crushed to death by El Gigante. This memory genuinely continues to stick with me. Even replaying the video game at 22 years old, of course, remake style, I can see it. the night closing in on me, and the humming from the typewriter and its music keeping all the monsters at bay. It's a bit dramatic, I know, but this is really how I felt as a kid. The main reason I actually got this idea for this video was while playing Resident Evil 4 Remake and remembering this night. Now let's go back into time, back to what every hot, sexy, and true Resident Evil fan's been waiting for. Let's talk about Code Veronica X.
Her name is Claire Redfield. We caught her trespassing in our Paris lab facility 10 days ago. She apparently infiltrated the complex looking for her lost brother, Chris Redfield, one of the surviving members of RPD's famous STARS teams.
God, Code Veronica X is such a controversial game in the franchise, and with good reason. Half of the time the game, unfortunately, is an utter mess. The other half, it's a classic survival horror experience. We're talking almost a masterpiece. Thankfully, a good portion of the masterpiece portion is owed to the music. One of the many save room themes I want to talk about is A Moment of Relief. This tune plays for the very first time when you arrive to the training facility. Through the main hall, up the stairs, and to the right holds an absolute earworm. When I tell you this track has stuck with me for years, I mean it. Claire Redfield is someone I'm obsessed with, but this song I can almost argue I'm obsessed with even more. So the doors close behind you. A childlike tune starts up. It bounces around the walls to Claire's/your ears, like a beautiful music box having just been wound up. It reminds me of a simpler time, truly, like the end of a rough day as a kid, when you get to wrap yourself under your favorite covers and just know everything's gonna be alright. I think I was around 11 to 13 when I first tried to play through Code Veronica, and God, the game's difficult. I didn't finish it as a kid. I actually only finished it recently, but I think the reason I remember the theme so much is because I never got past the gold Luger door. It even got to the point as a kid where I thought my game copy was glitched because I literally couldn't get the gold Lugers from Steve. Almost forgot his name. Yeah, from Steve. Anyway, like most iconic tracks from this series, if I close my eyes, picture the room, I can see Claire in her idle animation, her hands on her hips, looking cool as ever, of course, and the hum of the music bouncing around the walls. The music once again elevating the franchise. Okay, we get it, we understand. The Zombie Z guy is 1, obsessed with Claire Redfield and wants to dress up as her every Halloween. 2, I think that aside from her, the save room music is the best thing to ever happen in the franchise. But why? Why is the save room so iconic? Well, thank you for asking. If you're watching this, chances are you already love Resident Evil. Or even better, you want to give the series a chance and happen to come across this video. Regardless of which category you're in, I'm certain you're familiar with the aesthetic that comes with Resident Evil. Typically, a frame of the game will consist of gothic elements oozing off the walls, with highbrow art to meet it in the background. And of course, rotting flesh on the side. These meld together to form the beautiful concoction of survival horror. This aesthetic persists throughout the series, thank God, and has gone on to inspire countless indie games and AAA titles. On top of that aesthetic, Resident Evil also has a knack for amazing gameplay that pushes you into the corner, making you feel helpless. But they're just zombies, right? They move slow, and you have a gun. You always have a gun. So it'll be fine. No, it won't. That starting handgun hits just as hard as a Nerf gun to these zombies. Not only that, but resources are scarce, especially in the original trilogy. So you trudge along, grabbing any shiny object you can get your hands on, until, boom, your inventory's full. What now? You need that key on the floor, but have no reason to use that herb that's in your inventory. So, begrudgingly, you leave the key behind and head towards a room. Turning countless corners through so many doors, you go under the stairs and enter a room. An ominous tune greets you when you walk in. It's a bright room. You step forward and there it is. The holy grail of Resident Evil. The double whammy, an item box and a typewriter. You see, save rooms in this franchise are different. The moment you step in, the tension lifts just a bit. You can throw all unnecessary items in the bottomless pit of the item box. And know that you can scoop them all back up later when needed. Your next move you can plan out. Exchange handgun ammo for some shotgun shells. You prepare to move on, leave a few empty spaces, save your game, put the ink ribbon away, and let the music wash over you for just a second longer until stepping back out into the nightmare. Also, side note, I know it's a bit cheesy that the games are like, in the nightmare, like this is a nightmare, but if you think about it, if I was trapped in a mansion that I couldn't leave or I'd get devoured by dogs, I would definitely consider that a living fucking nightmare. So I just love that they put it like that. Save rooms are the backbone of the Resident Evil series. The themes are a soundtrack of safety. Take the original RE2's save theme, Secure Place. It's ominous, never letting you settle too far away from the sense of fear. But the piano notes chime in, almost fighting back and reminding you that you're still alive and safe for the time being. Resident Evil 3 amps this feeling up even more. As most of you may know, throughout the game you're pursued relentlessly by a humanoid creature named Nemesis. The first half of the game takes place in the streets of Raccoon City, and Nemesis can literally get his hands on you almost anywhere. Almost. Where does that almost pop in, you may ask? The save rooms. Another standout track lays here, Safe from Fear. The notes crescendo up at a set tempo, followed by an interruption of a very, very low note. Almost as if Nemesis is reminding you he can follow you anywhere if he really feels like it. I'm no music theorist, but these are geniuses. I can almost feel Jill realizing she has to leave this room to truly escape the city. With that comes the realization that around any corner could be yet another battle with Nemesis. So, you pick up the ink ribbon, save your progress, and prepare yourself yet again to the many creatures that lay ahead. Resident Evil 3 is a masterpiece. They need to really actually remake that game, but anyway, next part of the video. Speaking of Jill, who can forget the game that started it all? Locked away in the mansion, fighting moment to moment to make it out alive, is RE1, the OG Resident Evil. This game and the GameCube remake paved the absolute way for the franchise. It built a solid foundation that the games still use till this day. Save rooms, of course, being one of them. Safe Haven accompanies us here, and if you've played Resident Evil, the original, you know just how good this track is, inviting you in to settle down, reconvene, and figure out where the hell that helmet key goes. But wait a minute, let's talk loading up a save, because even that is special. Time's passed, okay? Here's the vision. Time's passed, you finally scraped a few hours together, few hours that you can use and fill with Resident Evil. You boot up Remake, hear the creepy guy announce the game, and load in. Jill's there yet again because we don't play as Chris. She's in front of the typewriter and clutching her side, letting you know, without even opening a menu, that she's injured. The tune explores your ears. It's calming, helps you recenter. You remember what you were doing last. The item box opens and closes, and you're off. Sweet baby Jill is searching for the metal crest to leave the mansion behind. Of course it's obvious, but loading into the save room is a good amount different than getting to the save room. I'm not sure why, but piecing together what I was up to on my last playthrough is a staple of the Resident Evil experience for me. Most of us know that these games can be finished ridiculously quickly, and although I'm not a speedrunner by any means, there's still a very rewarding feeling when you get your loadout together, choose what weapons you might need, how much ammo to take, what to leave behind, grabbing your key items, hoping it's the right one, and lastly, planning out the most optimal route. What rooms are you going to go in? What rooms are you going to avoid? Did you burn that Crimson Head, or is he back up on his feet? That whole scenario just leaves me beyond satisfied when I get to point B, which I was trying to get to, which of course leads me to place C, new key item, back to point A, and across to point D. Hopefully that adds up, but whatever. All that script behind us, I'd like to touch on something that's not as positive. I want to talk over what I believe to be the best Resident Evil save room theme, and the absolute worst save room, or rooms. Some of you may see this coming, but I want to give my opinion on what I believe is the worst classic Resident Evil. Resident Evil 0. God, do I have so much to say about this game. This Resident Evil I completed for the first time recently. I'm talking October recent. You see, yes, the Resident Evil games are beyond replayable, but nothing beats, in my opinion, the first two playthroughs. Playthrough 1 because it's all new and you have no clue what to expect. Playthrough 2 for a very different reason. You have your hands firmly on the wheel this time, but how good are you at keeping them there? But what happens when the game is tedious for no reason? This is unfortunately what the devs set out to answer when they made Resident Evil 0. Under so much mess, the game is a great game, but God, does it have so many issues. Even my poor baby Rebecca could not save this one, and as a kid I was obsessed with her. I got Resident Evil 0 on the GameCube, never finished it. I don't even think I got past the train, but Rebecca is stunning. I adore her. There's only one issue of this game that I want to fully touch on, for the sake of this video not becoming RE0 hate piece. And it's one of the main issues of the game, the save rooms. Yes, it all comes back to the save rooms. So I'll start with the good because I do love Rebecca and even Billy. To me, it has one of the best tracks in the games. Side note, I can't for the life of me find the name of this save room, so if you can let me know in the comments, that'd be great, but I've got conflicting information. We're just going to call it RE0 save room theme. This theme gives you a sense of comfort in the claustrophobic train or the narrow hallways of the training facility. But something very major is missing. I'm sure you can guess, it's the item box. God, it's ridiculous that I don't know how they even implemented this into the game. Something that was a staple in the franchise for 8 years, completely removed, poofed into thin air like it never existed. This is extra wild to me because it really does change the game into a slog. You run from here to there to grab items you had to leave behind, only to backtrack to the new area you just unlocked. Honestly, majority of the issues with this game would be fixed if there was just an official item box patch. There is a mod out there, but I didn't play with it. With no official item box patch, the game to me feels very half-baked, even with the great music. To me, this is such a letdown. The train sequence is amazing, even with the no item box stuff. But you're only on that train for about an hour if you're even somewhat competent at the game. And after that, everything becomes super tedious. Because hey, yes, you can see where the items are on the map, but they're way back when you left the train 3 hours ago, or in the main hall of the training facility, so up those stairs you go. And don't forget the 6-pack of grenades you left behind for the hook shot. I shouldn't get started on the hook shot, but we can start on the hook shot. The thing is, this item is used, I believe, 4 times in the game, and it would be completely a non-issue if they just had added the item box to the save rooms. And I'll say it, I know what Capcom was going for taking out the item boxes. It is a good idea in theory because you do control 2 characters in this game most of the time, and with that comes 12 inventory spaces instead of 6. But 12 just simply wasn't enough, especially when you have multiple weapons that take up 2 slots in your inventory, even when they didn't in the last game. Also, one of my biggest grievances with the hookshot, the final time you use it, it doesn't even let you know that you can discard it, which the whole series is known for letting you know, oh, I can discard this key, do you want to discard it? But no, they didn't do that for whatever reason with the hookshot. Thankfully, I found out from Reddit because I use it as a search engine, and I found out like, I don't know, a few rooms later that I don't even need to carry the thing around anymore. Aside from the theme, the save rooms in Zero are just not memorable. The lack of the item box is the largest part of that. I can see the Resident Evil 3 save room, or even 2's when I hear the music. In Resident Evil 0 though, aside from the train, almost none of it's memorable. Resident Evil 0 unfortunately showed us how save rooms can be done wrong. There's really no place to properly reconvene or plan out your next steps. None of your stuff is all in the same place, and it just makes my brain feel like mush with the lack of breather or buffer room that all the other games have. Anyway, no more trashing Resident Evil 0. I love Rebecca, she's so fucking cute, and Billy is just a stud, god. The characters unfortunately have next to no depth, but the stories in the original RE games weren't really ever there in the first place, so can't blame it on them. Now, let's touch on something more optimistic. Capcom and their legacy. Capcom with time has grown and changed over the years. We all know how RE6 went, and we thank God every night at 3:33 a.m. that RE7 happened, and in turn saved the franchise. With its changes though, proper save rooms have almost become a thing of the past. They were minorly seen again this year in the RE4 remake, but those are more of a merchant, you're buying stuff, you're selling things. The themes are amazing, of course. But honestly, the last time we seen something akin to the classic Resident Evils was the remake of Resident Evil 2. Maybe you can consider Village, but I really only played that game once. I loved it, but I don't really remember any crazy great themes or proper save rooms aside from in the castle. Thankfully though, save rooms are not a thing of the past. Resident Evil has gone on to inspire countless games. There are some gems out there carrying the OG survival horror baton. Like 2021's Tormented Souls. This game has you solving puzzles with a fixed camera angle around a hospital. I played it recently for the first time. It's very creepy, deeply unsettling for the entire run, and has some killer save rooms. In this game, you'll be using tapes to save your progress. You'll find these tapes all around the hospital, and when you do, you get to use them on a recorder machine. At least I think it's a recorder machine. I don't know. I was born in 2001. Anyway, you'll record your progress. Not only does this game have an amazing ambiance, but of course the music's great. If you're watching this video, you probably get how important music is to a video game, but let me tell you, music is beyond important to a video game. Whether that be making it creepy, fun, stale, music makes or breaks a game. We all know this. These themes in each room, I think, are a bit different. I know there's one like chapel room. There is another in the sewing machine save room. They all bring back the feeling of momentary relief RE fans know and love. Another thing that was so fun to see is some save rooms, I think almost all of them, besides one I noticed, have a typewriter in them. This, of course, being a reference to classic Resident Evil. Signalis is another example. This wonderful indie title came out swinging last year and wowed everyone, including me, with its tight corridors and unsettling titles. Play Signalis. I want to make a video about it someday, but it's so wild and I need to replay it because that story is just crazy video game. This last one is a game I'm beyond excited about. It's not out yet, but it's had 2 demos on Steam and they were insane. So much fun. Echoes of the Living, heavily inspired by Resident Evil 2 and 3. The landscape has you facing off countless hordes of zombies in a city. You solve puzzles and run around in a fixed camera angle perspective. The version of the demo I played was the most recent one. Every moment running around felt like a love letter to classic RE, Resident Evil. Of course, in that love letter comes an amazing killer save room. Like I said, the demo is only around 2 to 3 hours, but you get to stumble across 2 to 3 save rooms, all with their own theme. In these save rooms, I believe I remember, I don't have footage of my first playthrough, but I believe you save on CD discs at a computer terminal, but I do remember having a killer track. We can move on now, but I do recommend for any survival horror fans to keep a lookout for this indie title. So, save rooms. Clearly I love them. I'm convinced even if you don't know it, you love them. And God, was this such a fun experience. Thank you so much for watching. I really do mean that. I've put so much work into this and I've always wanted to do something like this. I don't know what I'm doing. I just wanted to leave off, kind of show who I am. This is me. I don't know. I've always wanted to do something like this, like speak about video games, bring something. I mean, I consume so much on YouTube about Resident Evil, Silent Hill, survival horror, and I wanted to kind of like create something for once because I don't do that. I've always wanted to, but I don't do that. I hope you enjoyed the talk about save rooms. Go ahead and let me know in the comments what your favorite save theme is. I know everyone has a different one. And tell me why it's Resident Evil 0 or Code Veronica. Okay, I'm gonna be done doing this. This is so weird seeing myself. I'm like, subscribe. You know how YouTube works. Comment. It would really help me. I'm obviously a beginner channel, whatever. Just start off by letting me know your favorite save room. I'm gonna get out of your hair. This is Zombie Zay. That's who I am. All right, everyone have a good day.